Hello designers, you're welcome to another tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to be learning how to make a buttonhole and how to tack button. So this is the buttons I have done. This is what we'll be learning, and this is the buttonhole I already made without using a buttonhole machine or a zigzag machine or an electric machine. I just used my manual straight sewing machine to make my buttonhole. That is what I'll be teaching today. This is the shirt dress I'm going to be doing my buttonhole and then tacking my button on. So we have the right side and the left side. For the male, on the right side, by your right hand, you have the button, and by your left hand, you have the buttonhole. While for female, is the opposite. On the right side, right hand, you have the buttonhole. On the left hand, you have your button. So this side, I'll be doing my buttonhole, while the other side, I'll be doing my button. To do my button, from the first button, which is going to be on the collar, I'm going to measure about 4 inches. 4 inches all the way down to where I want the button to stop, or the buttonhole to stop. But for this shirt dress, I'll be using 3 inches because the style has the buttons very close to each other. But for a normal regular shirt, you can use about 4 inches. So I'm going to mark 3 inches all the way down. I've gone ahead to use a chalk to mark it, so I marked a straight line. For the one on the collar, you can do it horizontal, while the one on the body of the shirt, you can make it straight, like vertical. These are the buttons I'm going to be using. I'm going to measure the length of the buttons. So these buttons are about ½ inch each. So I'm going to measure a straight line about ½ inch, or 0.75 in length. So I've gone ahead to mark the straight line. Now I'm going to use my machine to make my buttonhole. I'm going to just run the thread on one side of the line, and on this other side I'm going to just run the machine on it. I'll be locking my stitch. As I do that. I'll just sew straight and lock it. Sew and lock, sew and lock. I'll make sure it's around the length that I marked. I won't make it too long. So I'll do that for both sides of the line I marked. So that is the way I did it. And that helps the buttonhole not to unravel. When you cut it with your scissors or with your razor blade, it helps it to stay in place and not to unravel. One thing you can do is, when you're making your shirt or dress or anywhere you want to do the buttonhole, you can put interfacing inside. We also call it stay. You can put stay inside, either paper stay, gum stay. You can put it inside, so that when you do this, it secures that buttonhole and it makes the fabric not to unravel. So this is the sample I have done, and I'm going to check the button, make sure it is the size of the button. Then I'll fold the buttonhole equally into 2. I use my scissors to make a little notch. Then insert the scissors and cut it a little more. Make sure you don't cut more than what you need. This will take a bit of practice, because you might cut it too loose or too open, and then your button will just be passing freely. Your button shouldn't pass freely. That is the way it should feel. If not, when you wear your shirt or your dress, your button will be coming out. I'm going to do the one on the collar. Like I said, that one is good to make it horizontal. So I've marked the line, and I'm going to run my stitches on both sides of the line. You just need a little space in between the two stitching you're going to do. Just a little space, just to cut the buttonhole. So you can use a manual machine for this kind of machine I'm using, or you can use an electric machine, body straight stitches, not the zigzag stitches. You can use your zigzag stitches if you know how to do it, but if you don't know how to do it, you can use your straight stitches to make your buttonhole. Now I'm going to use a razor blade just to show you. If you don't want to use a scissors, you can use a razor blade. You can use your seam ripper to make the hole for the buttonhole. Make sure not to cut it too big. You have to be careful. These are the buttonholes I've done. So I've done the remaining off camera, and this is the front, this is the back, this is what it looks like. On this other side, I'm going to be putting my button. This shirt dress is for a woman, so that is why I'm putting my button on this other side. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pin the two button space down where I have the buttonhole and where I want to put the buttons. I'm going to pin the two down. I'll make sure they are well overlapped and well arranged. I don't want to make mistake at this point. So after pinning it down, I'll straighten it. Then I'll take a pencil or a marker or a pen or a biro or a chalk, whatever you want to use. Then I'll pass it through each buttonhole to make a mark on the lower fabric underneath it. So the middle of the buttonhole, I'll mark it this way. Remember, you must have opened all your buttonholes. Then I'll mark it this way all the way down. I'll make sure it's showing, and I'll make sure it falls at the middle, at the right place. So you have to pin this well. You can't afford to make a mistake, and make sure there is no gap in between each buttonhole. Make sure it is flat and well arranged. So after making my marking, I'll remove my pins and then I'll go ahead to tack my button on the mark. I'm going to take my thread and pass it through my needle as long as I can handle. Don't make it too long so that it doesn't tangle quickly. So after passing through the eye of the needle, I'm going to cut it off and then make a knot at the end. You can pass your thread, either 2 thread or 4 thread. So the 4 thread is always stronger. The 2 thread too is fine, but you have to go in multiple times through your button. This is the button I'll be using. It's a small button. You can use a big button, you can use a small button, you can use different kind of button that is not even this type, but this is the type I want to use, and it has 4 holes. From underneath the fabric, I'll pass my needle into any of the holes on the button. So when I come out, let me show you this way. There are 2 holes horizontally, up and down. So it's either you sew it horizontally or you do a cross. You make a cross with it. I like to make a cross because I feel it's more beautiful and firmer and strong. So I'll pass through the first hole and then cross my hand to the other hole diagonally. I won't go vertically, I won't go horizontally, I'll go diagonally. If you have done 2 thread, you go in, you repeat it. You can do it twice. Just twice is fine for this size of button. So you do that twice. Then diagonally, the other side, you do the other holes on the button. You go in, you come out, you go in, you come out. You do that twice too, and that is fine. It will be firm. At the back, you make a knot. You pass your needle through the fabric. Take the upper part of the thread. Don't take the lower one, the one at the eye of the needle. It tangles easily. Take the upper one, pass it through the needle twice, and pull out the needle. Pull the thread a little to make the knot firm. Repeat it. Put the needle, take the upper thread, pass it through the needle twice, and pull out the needle. Make sure it doesn't tangle. Then pull the thread a bit just to make it firm, and then cut your thread. That is all you need. The button will be very firm. So this is what it looks like when I pass the button through the buttonhole. This is the front, this is the back. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same for all the other mark I've done. This is what it looks like when I'm done.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please kindly like, share, comment, subscribe if you're new here, and click the notification bell. Thank you.